Okay, hi everyone. I got a really good question just about the expense of certain types of cameras. So Mujo sent me a message saying, "Hi Dom, I was looking at camera prices recently and noticed that the Nikon D3X is still over €6,000, similar in all currencies. Do you know why the price is still so high?" I had a little look as well, and on Amazon here, I'm seeing the Nikon D3X is still almost £4,000. Oh, ouch! Considering it's a camera that came out in 2008, which makes that 5 years old now. A five-year-old digital camera. So if you wanted it new, it still costs £4,000. When it originally came out, it was over £6,000. So it's dropped £2,000. Cheap as anything now. Let's see, what does Mujo say? It says, back when it came out in 2008 or 2009, yes, 24 megapixels was huge and the price was justified. But nowadays, even the entry-level digital SLRs like the D3200, the 5200, the 7100 as well, have the same resolution. Okay, they may be DX cameras, but the Nikon D600 is FX and offers 24, and the D800 offers 36 megapixels. So resolution isn't really the reason for why you'd get the D3X, because it no longer is the biggest thing here. As far as dynamic range, color depth, ISO performance are concerned, the D600 is superior in every aspect and costs only a fraction of the D3X's price. Your writing here is fantastic here. It's almost like I'm actually saying it. Similar thing with the D800 and D800E, not to mention that the D300 does not record a video at all. Mega failure. I understand that D3X is a more professional type of camera with a more robust body, good weather sealing and great battery life, but is it really worth 4 times the price of the D600? Which is better image quality? Question mark. Okay, Mujo, here's my best answer I can give you. So having a quick little look on the website DxO Mark, which does lots of camera comparisons, camera testings, mainly the sensor testing rather than like ergonomics or build quality and all that kind of stuff. You can see that the D700, D600 and D3X, you can put them together and you can compare the scores, and certainly the D600 beats in the total score the D3X. If we go into the specs, you'll see a kind of similar result here. So the D3X is right in the middle, meanwhile the D7100 is a little bit not as good, even though it's the same megapixels. And the D600 is the clear winner for ISO ability. In terms of dynamic range, the D600 wins again, both in print and on screen. Tonal range, still D600. And colour sensitivity, D600 wins again there as well. So, in general, yes, you're right, the D600 humps the image quality of the Nikon D3X, and effectively the power of the images that you get from the Nikon D7100 would almost be imperceivable, the difference in quality that you get from one to the other. So again, why is this thing so ridiculously expensive? And in fact, I've just found it on John Lewis' website just now for £5,500. So yeah, price really hasn't gone down whatsoever. So really, what are you paying for? Well, you can pretty much read the blurb there of it's super professional, rugged, hard wearing and all that kind of stuff. It does 5 frames a second at 24 megapixels. The stuff about it is quite good, but yeah, as you say, it doesn't do video. It's only got a 3-inch screen on the back. There's loads of cameras that can do 24 megapixels and all that stuff. So effectively, what you're paying for now is not to have the class-leading the top of the range image quality that you get from the camera, because other cameras can happily give you better quality than that. What you are paying for though is a bit of a show-off camera, I would say. If you've got this, then you're like, I've got a big boy of photography. 24 megapixels is still a huge amount of pixels and more than I would even ever need for anything that I've ever shot. So it's really for professionals and professionals only. So when I'm saying that you can, it's really kind of a show-off camera, is the fact that if somebody were to be buying this over another camera, they're really buying it so that they can have a big ass camera. Like the Nikon D3X is the kind of mega body camera that you get the D3, the D3s, and D4. Same with like the Canon 1DSs and the 1D Mark whatever's they are. All of them. It's the big ass camera that you're paying for, and with that you get rugged, hardcore build quality. And that's kind of what it is, even from whenever it first came out, is apart from the fact that it was meant to be the best images and all that kind of stuff, is that if you're buying one of these cameras, these are the kind of cameras which are like mega workhorses. So they're not enthusiast cameras, they're not semi-pro cameras and all of that. These are the workhorse cameras. The ones, if you were a war photographer, you would go into war with this camera. If you are a sports photographer and you're potentially going to be in 10 places in one day, running from one to the other, if you drop this out your bag, you've got nothing to worry about. The build quality is probably a little notch up, or at least the quality control is that little bit notch higher than what you'd get from some of the other cameras. And they're just made to really just keep on working all the time. But that's not to say that other cameras won't keep on working all the time. It's just, I would say that with these cameras, you've got nothing to worry about. You know it's going to work all the time, every time. But at the same time, sometimes it might break, but that's another issue. But personally for me, I can't really see any reason why anyone would buy this camera. If you're going for something where you need high megapixels, like you're shooting in a studio, you don't really need a workhorse camera like this, like the Nikon D800, which gives you huge mega files, is superbly well built as well, very rugged. I'm sure it could happily take a drop off a tripod and be absolutely fine, and will shoot hundreds of thousands of photos without a single hitch. So again, I don't really know why people would buy this, the D3X. Kind of like, imagine you are buying a tank. As I said, these are kind of like war photography cameras, absolutely fine. You know, people might say, oh, I can buy a Volkswagen Golf, it can do 120 miles an hour, and it can drive 200 miles on a tank of fuel, no problem. And the person that owns the tank goes, yes, you can go faster than I can, you can go further than I can, however, I'm a tank. So whoever needs a tank, buy me. If you don't need a tank and you just need a little Volkswagen Golf, go for the Golf. That's probably like the only way I was saying that you can really describe the difference of them in terms of cars. Is there anything else that you can imagine it as? If you think of any other analogies or examples, let me know. The other thing is the price probably hasn't dropped because people just haven't sold it. But whenever they originally bought it into the company, it was almost at that price. So, you know, if you buy a camera, if you're a shop owner, you maybe bring in stock of 20 cameras. In some cases, you don't actually buy those cameras. You just kind of hold on to them from the manufacturer and then sell them, and then you give the manufacturer money once you've sold them. Possibly with these professional cameras, it's a case that the shops may have actually had to buy them, and would have actually had to buy them at, say, £5,000, so that they're only making a £500 increase whenever they sell it. And over the last 5 years, if nobody's bought it, they still can't drop the price, otherwise the company is going to be losing money from it. So it's kind of totally defying the normal rules of supply and demand. If there's not enough demand, you normally drop the price. But here it's like, well, we're not dropping the price because there's so few of them, and there's such kind of minor demand things that we'll just keep the price the same because it'll never go down, because it's still an awesome camera and it's a total workhorse. Somebody will buy it sometime in the future. But to be honest, Mujo, I would just say go for the Nikon D600 unless you are planning on being a war photographer, a war photographic journalist, or whatever it is. Then you probably wouldn't really get much benefit from the extra toughness of the body, the extra longer battery life, or all that kind of stuff. So it's not something. It's expensive because there's still loads of demand for it, and because it's still the best in the world. It's just expensive because it can be, and somebody will buy it at some point. Not really a reason, really. Not for us to part with our cash anyway. But if you're like a company that gets tax back from all that kind of stuff, I'm like, yeah, just buy a couple of them, go for it. There you go. That's I don't know this for sure, that's just kind of my impression of why it's so expensive. Anybody else? If you've got any ideas of why they're still ridiculously expensive, let us know. Cheers. Bye bye.